At the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, deeper than Mount Everest is tall, lies a trench so remote, so hostile, that no sunlight has ever touched its floor. The Mariana Trench, Earth's final abyss. But what if I told you, something just moved down there? In March of this year, a research probe sent to a record-breaking depth of 20,000 meters suddenly lost signal, moments after detecting rhythmic, non-random vibrations. Not tectonic, not volcanic, something else. Hours later, deep-sea listening stations across the Pacific picked up an ultra-low frequency hum, as if something ancient had woken up. Since then, satellites have registered temperature shifts in the trench, and coastal sensors are detecting pressure changes, rising slowly. Scientists are alarmed, but they're not talking. What did we disturb, and what's already coming toward the surface? For decades, the Mariana Trench has remained one of the last truly unexplored frontiers on Earth, a black wound in the crust of the planet, plunging nearly 7 miles deep. Even with modern technology, we've only scratched the surface of what lies below. The pressure at those depths is over 1,000 times greater than at sea level. Temperatures hover near freezing. No light, no air, just crushing silence and absolute darkness. But still, we go deeper. With each new submersible mission, we've sent probes farther, drawn by the same question that haunts all of science: what's really down there? Over the past decade, exploration of the trench has surged. Governments, private companies, and secretive research groups have invested billions in deep-sea technology, building drones that can withstand immense pressure, sensors capable of detecting micro-changes in oceanic currents, and AI-driven mapping systems designed to scan the trench floor. We've found life in the unlikeliest forms: translucent crustaceans, bacteria that feed on metal, and even strange bioluminescent creatures that seem to vanish when observed. But nothing could have prepared us for what we're starting to see now. The world above is distracted: war, economy, AI revolutions. But deep below, something is changing. Instruments are picking up patterns too regular, too precise to be natural. Vibrations that pulse like a heartbeat. Something is shifting in the deepest part of the ocean, and the more we study it, the more it feels like it's studying us. For the first time, humanity might have gone too deep and touched something it should have left alone. It started as a routine mission. In January of this year, the Oceanic Survey Initiative, a joint effort between multiple nations, launched Abyss 21, the most advanced autonomous deep-sea probe ever built. Its objective: to reach an unprecedented depth of 20,000 meters, well below the known floor of the Mariana Trench, into a subabyssal pocket recently revealed by satellite gravity mapping. Most scientists believed it would be a dead zone, nothing but compressed rock and ancient sediment. But at 19,850 meters, Abyss 21 detected something unexpected. A perfectly symmetrical formation beneath the silt, over 200 meters wide. Smooth, arched surfaces. Geometric lines. Not volcanic, not tectonic, something artificial or alive. Its signal cut out moments later. At first, the official explanation was pressure failure, a crushed hull, a lost feed. But leaked data from thermal scanners suggested something else entirely: heat. A sudden spike, as if something beneath the trench had started to radiate energy. Then came the second event. 6 days later, deep-sea hydrophones off the coast of Guam picked up a low-frequency pulse, a sound not heard before in any oceanic database. It repeated every 19 hours and 17 minutes like clockwork. Then, silence. Governments locked down oceanic research near the trench. Independent vessels were denied access. The official narrative became equipment malfunction, but those closest to the mission knew something was wrong. Several engineers and oceanographers from the original Abyss 21 team quietly resigned. One of them, speaking anonymously, said just 3 words before vanishing from public view: "It's not dead." That was the first time anyone suggested it might not be a structure, but a life form. Something dormant, something ancient. And somehow, we woke it up. Within 3 weeks of Abyss 21's disappearance, unexplained anomalies began surfacing not just near the trench, but across the Pacific Rim. Seismographs in Japan, Indonesia, and California started registering low-magnitude tremors, not from tectonic movement, but from deep oceanic resonance. Something was shaking the seabed, rhythmically, like pulses. NOAA satellites detected heat blooms over the trench, thin plumes of thermal radiation rising through the water, invisible to the naked eye but measurable from orbit. A heat map comparison with data from just 6 months earlier showed a 7% increase in deep-sea thermal activity in a radius of over 200 kilometers. That's not normal. That's not natural. Meanwhile, marine biologists began reporting mass behavioral shifts in aquatic life. Giant squid, usually elusive and deep-dwelling, were found dead, surfacing near the coast of Micronesia and the Philippines, their internal organs ruptured from sudden pressure change, as if they had been pushed upward. Schools of fish swam in confused spirals, while entire pods of whales altered their migration paths to avoid the western Pacific. Deep-sea microphones recorded subsonic vibrations, tones between 18 and 22 hertz, just below human hearing, strong enough to rattle hulls of research vessels. Some crews described feelings of unease, disorientation, even nausea when passing over the affected zones. And then there's the map, the one the public hasn't seen. Leaked from a military oceanic lab, it shows a slow, outward-moving wave pattern, a circular disturbance radiating from the trench at 0.7 miles per hour. Almost imperceptible, unless you're watching carefully. Whatever's down there, it's not just alive. It's moving, spreading. And with every hour that passes, it gets closer to something we can't afford to lose, the surface. At first, everyone thought it was geological. An unstable fault line. Magmatic shifts. Maybe even a pocket of geothermal activity, explainable, containable. But then came the discovery that changed everything. A team of independent physicists and oceanographers, reviewing acoustic data from deep-sea sensors, noticed something off. The vibrations weren't random. They carried structure. Repeating sequences embedded in low-frequency hums, mathematical intervals, harmonic patterns. Someone ran the data through a spectrogram, and what emerged silenced the entire room. It resembled a signal, not just noise, but communication. Too slow, too deep for any known creature, and yet too organized for a natural event. That's when the hypothesis emerged. What if the structure detected by Abyss 21 wasn't a formation, but a shell? Not a life form itself, but a cocoon. An exospheric crust designed to withstand unimaginable pressure. Not to survive, but to contain. For thousands, maybe millions of years. Scientists now believe something beneath the trench may not have evolved there, but was put there. Locked away. The Mariana Trench, in this theory, isn't just the deepest place on Earth, it's a prison. A natural vault reinforced by artificial mechanisms. And we opened the door. That circular energy pattern, the slow outward wave, may not be a threat signal. It might be a beacon, a call, or a warning. The question tearing the scientific community apart is chilling. Were we the first to find it? Or just the first to make the mistake of waking it up? If that's true, then what's coming next isn't a natural disaster. It's a response. And whatever it is, it's intelligent. Today, we have technology capable of peering into the furthest corners of the solar system, yet the deepest parts of our own planet remain terrifyingly unknown. The Mariana Trench has long been considered the final boundary of Earth's biosphere, and in recent years, international research teams have poured billions into exploring its depths. Autonomous underwater vehicles like the Deep Sentinel can now operate at extreme pressures for weeks at a time, mapping terrain with sonar, collecting biological samples, and transmitting live feeds. AI-driven pattern recognition systems scan acoustic data in real time, detecting anomalies that human operators might miss. And still, none of it prepared us for this. Since the Abyss 21 incident, new submersibles equipped with quantum accelerometers and high-resolution magnetometers have recorded inexplicable distortions, pockets of localized gravity shift, as if mass itself is being displaced or concealed. Deep electromagnetic readings show interference patterns in the trench's lower regions, patterns not naturally occurring, symmetrical, rhythmic, and pulsing. Some researchers are calling it the heartbeat zone. Meanwhile, genetic analysis of microorganisms retrieved from recent dives shows rapid mutations, not over generations, but within days, as if something in the environment is accelerating evolution or rewriting it. Perhaps most disturbing of all, attempts to send manned missions have been quietly halted. One crew, unnamed in official reports, experienced severe psychological breakdowns after approaching the deeper coordinates. Claustrophobia, hallucinations, irrational fear. The onboard AI system flagged the incident with a chilling term, perceived sentience in external stimuli. In other words, the environment reacted. Science is advancing faster than ever, but with every new tool we deploy, the unknown answers back. And right now, it's speaking louder than ever. Not everyone agrees on what's really happening beneath the trench. Some scientists argue it's simply a new form of life, ancient, yes, but natural. A deep biosphere organism evolved to exist under impossible pressure, only now reacting to human intrusion. They warn against panic, urging further study. But others believe we've made a far graver mistake. A classified report leaked by a whistleblower from an international marine observatory claims the formation detected by Abyss 21 emitted a type of low-frequency radiation, unknown, but consistent. The hypothesis? It wasn't just dormant, it was in stasis. A suspended state, locked not by nature, but by design. Some researchers suggest we've broken a seal. Not a metaphorical one, a literal containment field. And now, the theories spiral. Was it buried by an ancient civilization, maybe even before our own? Could the trench be a scar left by a crash or an impact? Others go further, that this isn't just biology, but architecture. A prison, a warning, a vault. Not for us, but for it. Debate is intensifying across secret science forums and encrypted academic channels. And one question keeps surfacing. If we triggered a release, what was the cost? The melting poles, the record storms, the global seismic uptick. What if they're all connected? A chain reaction started by curiosity. And here's the terrifying part. No one can agree on how to stop it. Governments want silence. The military wants control. Scientists want to understand. But deep below, none of it matters. Because whatever we disturbed, it's no longer sleeping. It's adapting, rising. And whether it's conscious or just hungry, one truth remains. We broke the balance. And nature never gives without taking something back. It began in silence and ended in chaos. The breach didn't look like an explosion. There was no fire, no massive wave. Just a void. On a quiet morning, satellite feeds over the Pacific glitched for 7 full seconds. When the images returned, the ocean surface near the Mariana Trench was gone, replaced by a churning vortex of dark water and steam, stretching over 80 miles wide. Ships vanished. Communication buoys were torn from the seafloor. And then for the first time something emerged. Not a creature, not a ship, but a structure. Towering, black, and pulsating with faint light, rising from the abyss like a monument to something not made by human hands. The world's response was instant and fractured. The UN called for containment. Militaries scrambled. Satellites were retasked. But it was too late. Within days, climate anomalies worsened, atmospheric pressure began to shift. Migratory patterns across the globe collapsed. Sea life beached itself en masse. Some believed it was radiation. Others, resonance. A frequency that disrupts not just nature, but cognition. Coastal cities reported mass hallucinations, dreams shared by thousands, always the same shape, always the same voice. Governments shut down research stations. A global blackout on deep-sea data was imposed. But the truth had already spread. In hushed tones, scientists now call it a biotechnological intelligence. Not alien, not divine, earthborn, but not human. An evolutionary anomaly, or a predecessor. And now it's active, extending tendrils through the oceans, altering ecosystems, hijacking frequencies, changing behaviors. A new apex presence, no longer hidden. The message is clear, we are no longer at the top. And the only question left is chilling, will it replace us, or absorb us? Now we stand at the edge, not of the trench, but of our future. Everything we've built, the science, the progress, the technology that made us feel invincible, now reflects back at us like a mirror, cracked and uncertain. What we unearthed beneath the ocean wasn't just an anomaly. It was a consequence. A message written in pressure and silence, waiting for the right moment, or the wrong species, to answer. And now, the world must choose. Do we continue to investigate, to push forward, deeper, as we always have, even if it means accelerating our own extinction? Or do we retreat, close the doors we've opened, and accept that some truths are too vast, too alien, to coexist with humanity? Scientists argue for understanding. Military leaders push for control. But what if both paths are wrong? What if the only option left is adaptation? A forced evolution, not of biology, but of perspective. To live alongside this force, we may have to change or be changed. And that is the heart of the dilemma. We created technology to dominate nature, but now we've encountered something that is nature, rewritten. Not evil, not cruel, just greater. The real question isn't whether we can stop it. It's whether we deserve to. If intelligence lies in humility, then maybe survival begins with surrender. Not in fear, but in awe. Because perhaps the final lesson buried in the depths wasn't about monsters. It was about mirrors and the cost of believing we were alone. What happens next will define what it means to be human, or whether being human is still enough. Remember what we said at the beginning? That something moved in the dark at the very bottom of the Mariana Trench. Back then, it felt like a mystery, an odd scientific event, a puzzle waiting to be solved. But now, maybe it's not a puzzle. Maybe it's a mirror we were never meant to look into. After everything, the lost signals, the rising pressure, the unnatural warmth pulsing from the abyss, it's hard not to feel small, powerless, like a child who touched something sacred without knowing the rules. And honestly, I don't know what scares me more, the idea that we woke something up, or that it's been awake this entire time, and only now chose to answer. You might think this is just a story, a theory, but every piece of data I've shared comes from real sources, real technologies, real scientists who no longer sleep soundly. So I'll ask you, not as a narrator, but as a human being, what if we're not alone? Not in space, but right here, beneath us, watching, listening. And what if our greatest discovery is actually our greatest threat? Because if you're still picturing a monster in the deep, you're not seeing the full picture. It doesn't need claws or teeth, just time, pressure, patience. And now that it's near the surface, what do you think it wants? Think about that the next time you stand near the ocean and feel something you can't quite explain. A low vibration, a pull, a hum that wasn't there before. Maybe it's nothing, or maybe it's coming for you next. Tell me in the comments, would you dare look down if something in the dark was already looking back?